The time of year that it is. Intermittent torrential downpours, between which I can get some work done. The strawberries are in bloom. There is nothing planted in here right now. Some of the rutabaga did come up, and I found the seeds so I can replant. I had a stray elderberry that I have potted up the part with the greenery, and also the root was too long to fit in one pot, so we're going to see if that takes also. Those are two pots, one inside the other, so I'll be able to lift it right on out. And this side needs a little bit more backfilling with the extra dirt that's in there. I'm really loving having the violets everywhere. I'm purposefully spreading those farther. And this loosened area around the fire pit is going to be violets, and I just put in seeds for the dwarf pyrethrin. And I can see that I left the seed packet out there, not knowing that it was going to come down quite this hard. So, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's in a plastic, so it's fine. You can see that I moved the black plastic over. I do have a cushion on my bench for once. It fits. It's not for it, but it fits. And that's a lot of what's going on here. With all the rain, you can see very clearly if I can get close enough, because the rain is really coming in pretty far onto the porch. But there's puddling up against the deck. There's also puddling over here. So you can see much more clearly why I'm looking at moving this little friend, or dismantling it entirely. Partly it's falling apart, starting to topple. And the other part is I do need to put some earthworks there, because that is my designated, identified location where I could create a bit of drainage away from the house for this and maybe divert it elsewhere. You get a bit of that over here too, but unlike there, it's at least a couple inches back. Not that that's a huge help. Yeah, so it's slowing down again. The bigger drips are just coming off the side of my house. I've pretty well identified with the apple and the pear tree. They've almost not bloomed at all this year. I got 5 blooms on the apple last week and none on the pear, and I've pretty well identified that I just need to really... When I planted those, that hedge was shorter than my espalier plants. It was only about this tall. I had responsible neighbors at that time. Now, in order to keep it relatively thinned enough to let light through, I need to kind of like hack back major branches on my side of that hedge, probably yearly. I've been looking into getting an electric wood chipper in order to help with the debris that does create, because when I do so, every year it ends up in a pile that's like taller than me and about 8 foot wide. So, it's a lot. The cherry is covered in cherries back there. They're still very small, hard and green, but they will be cherries. And the Saskatoons, similarly. They'll be Saskatoons sooner than the cherries will be cherries. So it might only be a couple more weeks for both of them. And I'm very happy that my French tarragon is doing very well. The German thyme, I think it was, is not quite as enthusiastic. The green that is there is the ground cover that I put in that basin, and the brown is where the thyme was. So, yeah, that didn't quite work out as planned. And much to my surprise, it's only the 13th of May. I planted these on the 9th. The prairie clover is already germinating, so I've been keeping an eye on my little nursery. You can see all the floods around here. I'll have to figure out what I'm doing about that, maybe creating some sort of concave situation here to keep it moving. Not sure. Quite a lot of floody water stuff going on there. But, you know, maybe as I till it up and give it a little more depth in a lot of that area, it'll help too. So I don't expect to keep the lawn type thing any bigger than around about like that. And then have nursery structure such as this everywhere else in the front yard, because this isn't enough. And the backyard that you can't even see because I'm not willing to expose my phone to rain. Not enough. Yeah, my bad. I really don't like taking care of a growing green space either, so my original idea of yarrow gets too tall, so this time I'm going to try the dwarf pyrethrin, because hello ticks, and the violets together, because the violets only get like 5-6 inches, and they're very hardy for being chomped on, so probably some red clover interspersed with that, and see how I do. So I'm going to have to also weed it much more proactively. But if I'm up here for gardening reasons anyway, that won't be as hard. So happy rainy day. It's pretty rainy. And hopefully it's a good day for you. It's a Sunday, so I'm happily not at work. I got to play in my brother's new house garden yesterday, so I'm feeling good. Yeah. Alright, so happy spring. Bye.